Hello there everyone, and welcome back to the Iron Ogre channel. We're obviously reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy because I'm doing that Infinity Saga rewatch that's been going on for over a year now, because I like to drag shit out. That's not actually the reason, it's because I'm just slow at making videos. This will be the first MCU review that will be featuring Buzz Lightning. You probably know him from the Shrek reviews unless you didn't watch them. But like, why wouldn't you watch them? You know what I mean? So anyway, you know what to expect. It's gonna be like the other reviews, except Buzz Lightning's with me. And you already know what Buzz Lightning's like if you watch the Shrek reviews. Anyway, let's get into it. Alrighty, I'm going to be giving my opinions of the film first, and I'm going to be talking about the positives before Buzz does anything, because let's be real, my opinions are just more valid, aren't they? So anyway, the positives of this film. So we have had, cosmic MCU films before this, I guess. Thor was kind of like that. Guess you could say Avengers was, because some scenes did take place in space. But they were quite brief, to be fair. It was like Loki talking to some alien geezer. Pretty much. So they were very brief. We had Thor and everything, all that bollocks. But Guardians of the Galaxy was the first film to really dive deep into that, because the original Thor film, that was like Asgard to Earth, Earth to Asgard. We didn't explore loads of planets, but this film definitely did explore loads of planets. And honestly, the cosmic side of the MCU is probably my favourite side of the MCU, because like my favourite MCU films do involve aliens and space and all that. So yeah, I would say that this film, is the film that explores my favourite side of the MCU the most, which is wonderful. And now let's talk about some characters. Now, I really do like every character in this film. Well, not every character. I mean all the heroes that are introduced. You care about each and every one of them. Star-Lord, Gamora, Rocket Raccoon, Groot, Drax, whoever the bloody hell is there. You like them all. And honestly, not gonna lie, Rocket Raccoon is honestly one of my favourite MCU characters. And man, I just love the way how they made this work. Like, you wouldn't think this film would work at all, would you? Talking tree that says I am Groot seems hella silly, even for a Marvel film. Also, talking raccoon voiced by Bradley Cooper. How the hell are you going to make that work? And how are you going to make us be able to take this character seriously? And even though he is quite a comedic character, when they make it serious, it feels serious, and you can actually sympathize with this character without going, this is a talking raccoon, what the hell. Nah, you actually do sympathize with this character when the film does indeed want you to do that. And something I would also like to mention is I think they did a pretty good job with the Drax design. It takes some inspiration from the comics, but really it is quite different. The original Drax design is green and red. Well, not the very original, but the main comic design was green and red. And I'm glad they changed it, because so many aliens in Marvel are green, so it'll just start being a bit overdone. So I'm glad that they did the change of green to grey, because I actually think it really works, and he still looks like Drax. And man, I do like Drax as a character. Drax has been in quite a few MCU films now. He's been in 4 of them up to this point, and he's about to make his 5th appearance in Thor: Love and Thunder. But I gotta say, I love him the most in this film. You're able to sympathise with him the most, and he has the better balance of seriousness and comedy, and man, he's quite intimidating, not gonna lie.
You dare! You know who I am, yes?
You're Drax the Destroyer.
You know why they call me this?
You slayed dozens of Ronan's minions.
Ronan murdered my wife, Ovette. And my daughter, Cameria. He slaughtered them where they stood. And he laughed!
That is honestly just really something I do indeed love about this film. The way it is able to blend comedy and seriousness and some actual dark stuff, and have a perfect balance of all of that. It can be funny, it can be serious, it can be dark, and they balance it incredibly well. James Gunn, you did a marvellous job, especially with the Drax character and Rocket, mainly the characters that you wouldn't expect to be, serious and comedic. Like Rocket Raccoon, he can be both, but you'd expect him just to be comedic, wouldn't you? And man, he can be serious. When Groot's dying, man, that is some sad shit. And the fact that there's a raccoon crying in front of a talking tree, doesn't take away any of the sadness, which is, wow, how do you achieve something like that? I even love Yondu in this film, and he's just a thieving little shit. But man, I love Yondu, and not just in this film, but also in Guardians 2, especially Guardians 2. I just love Michael Rooker's performance, and I think he was really entertaining to watch as his character. He was definitely quite funny, and I really like his powers and his skill set and all of that. And he's not simply a good guy or a bad guy, really. He's a criminal, but he has nothing against doing the right thing, like how he helps the Guardians of the Galaxy, take the Power Stone from Ronin, but obviously he did say that he needs the Power Stone if they get it back, or else he would kill all the Guardians. Yeah, but that's just what I love about him, and the fact that he is not a very kind character in this film leaves room for growth, and man, he definitely does grow in Guardians of the Galaxy too. So honestly, Yondu is probably one of my favourite things about both of the Guardians of the Galaxy films, and maybe one of my favourite characters in the MCU.
The high-end community is...
The
high-end community is... It's a tight-knit... The high-end community is a very tight-knit...
I'm not gonna lie, I even like the villain of the film, and a lot of people don't like the villain of the film because they say he's bland and generic and all that bollocks. But I think the fact that this villain backstabbed Thanos and literally said it to him and threatened him makes him stand out, and instead of just being a generic forgettable villain like some other MCU villains before this film, yeah, I just think the fact that he backstabbed Thanos and threatened him does really make him stand out, because no other villain has really had the guts to do that. Yeah, Loki was about to backstab him, but he didn't threaten him or anything, and he was shaking in his boots when Loki did that. So yeah, I actually do like Ronan the Accuser, and I do quite admire him for doing that. And also, he is quite an intimidating fellow, I'm not gonna lie, and I actually do quite like the design of him, even if he does look a little bit like a nun. Oh, and speaking of Thanos, he had quite a presence in this film. The only time we saw Thanos before Guardians of the Galaxy was in the post-credit scene, or mid, I can't remember, of the original Avengers film, and man, what a credit scene that was. And this was Thanos' second appearance, and the best thing I can sort of compare this to is how Palpatine was teased throughout the original Star Wars trilogy. I'm pretty sure you got mentions of him, teasers of him, and pretty sure you got some glimpses as well. He was on a little hologram thing, that thing that Star Wars characters use to communicate. And yeah, that's pretty much what the Infinity Saga was doing with Thanos. They were just teasing him throughout films, leading to Infinity War and Endgame. And man, they did a good job with it, because they definitely established that he was someone not to be messed with, and he was someone you should absolutely be terrified of. And that is one reason why I love the fact that Ronan betrayed him. And you could pretty much guess what his motives kind of were at this point. Well, I guess sort of. He wanted all of the Infinity Stones. At this point, if you're not a comic fan, you probably didn't really know what he wanted to do with them, but you just knew that he wanted them, and that was scary enough, because it was already established that Thanos was the most powerful being in the universe already, and if he gets all 6 Infinity Stones, even though just one is extremely powerful, then man, the stakes are high. And I would just like to mention something. I prefer this design of Thanos in Guardians of the Galaxy over the design they got in Infinity War and Endgame. This design just seems more like Thanos to me, and yeah, I just prefer it. And the thing is about this film, it was so different and weird at the time when this film came out, because before Guardians of the Galaxy, the MCU weren't really doing that much different things. Like, they did the Iron Man films, the Captain America films, and then they did Avengers, and then they started making sequels to those other films, and then Guardians of the Galaxy came along, and everyone was like, what the hell is this? But man, this ended up being like one of the most important films in the franchise, because for starters, you know, the Infinity Stones and Thanos was sort of the main thing that was like the Infinity Saga was like revolving around and all that. And this is the film that actually explained to us what Infinity Stones are. Yeah, we'd seen them in previous films, but we didn't even know what they were really. Like, they were just like powerful cubes or powerful spear things or other bollocks. But this film, we actually knew what they were in this film. Like, it gave us like a backstory and everything, and what kind of people tried using these, and we found out how many they were. And yeah, you may think, oh, I already knew that, but if you didn't know anything about comics or anything, or didn't watch any cartoons or read any comics, then you probably had no clue about what Infinity Stones were before you watched this film. And man, I just got to appreciate Guardians of the Galaxy for, you know, explaining it, because if it wasn't for Guardians of the Galaxy, then man, it would be a bit awkward watching Infinity War and watching this guy collect rocks, and we just have no idea what's going on. Anyway, I think I might have talked on for quite a while now. Other things I like, honestly, this film is just visually stunning. There's some really nice shots in this film, and then when I see them, I'm like, oh yeah, about to bust. I like the gadgets used in this film mostly, and we'll get into that when we talk about negatives. I like the action scenes mostly, we'll get into that in the negatives. I like the design of spaceships, like the set design, and yeah, there's just a lot of things I like about this movie. I think the CGI was also extremely good, and man, the soundtrack of this film, I just can't help but love it, you know what I mean? Like, this film is what actually started getting me into, like, old music. Like, I liked old music before this film came out, because what sane person doesn't? But this film is what actually properly got me into it, and, like, started, like, listening to a lot of it, you know what I mean? And man, those opening credits for the film, Jesus. Some of the best opening credits I've ever seen, not gonna lie.
Oi, my G-Words, it's Buzz here. So today I'm going to be reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy with War Machine Ogre. I mean, he's not War Machine Ogre on this channel. He's the Iron Ogre. I'm just so used to calling him War Machine Ogre. Don't judge me. So, yeah, we're going to be reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy, and we're going to start off with the positives from this movie, bro. There's so much positives I have for this movie, bro. For one, it has, like, one of the greatest scenes in superhero movie history. Okay, that is going way too far calling it one of the greatest scenes, but like, still, it's such a good scene where they all meet each other for the first time, and most of them meet each other because Drax isn't there, but still, they all meet each other for the first time, and bro, this is such a good scene. Like, it shows off how they are in battle, and it just shows off their personality excellently, especially when you meet Rocket and Groot. Oh my god, that is such a funny scene. Like, best Stan Lee cameo in any MCU movie by far, bro. Also, the scene where they are getting the stuff to escape, right? That is such a good scene as well, bro. I love the part where Rocky is explaining everything, and then he's like, oh, okay, his prosthetic leg, and you can if you hear very closely, you can hear him trying not to laugh. Like, bro, that is such good attention to detail from Marvel, honestly, bro. Also, let's talk about the soundtrack, bro. This has such a good soundtrack, probably the best soundtrack in the MCU, because, like, bro, this has some banger songs, like Hooked on a Feeling, Ain't No Mountain High Enough, the Marine, what was it, Jackson 5 or something, I don't know, but yeah, that is such an amazing soundtrack. That is better than any MCU movie soundtrack. And also, right, I want to talk about some of the characters, bro. This has like the best team of characters. Like, honestly, I prefer this to the Avengers, bro. So we have we have Chris Pratt Star-Lord, which is a legend, bro. I don't know what it is with sci-fi movies, and I always think the idiot one is the best character, but it's just something. But Star-Lord is an idiot, right? And that just makes him such a good character. There is some moments that is genuinely funny. Like, he's such a funny character, and he has some emotion to him, because, like, in the first scene of the movie, his mother dies, and we'll learn in the second movie that it was a tumour that his dad put in the head, but we're not talking about the second movie yet. But, like, bro, that is such an emotional scene. Like, the way Marvel filmed that, it doesn't feel like an MCU movie at that point, because, like, bro, it's so emotional. Like, I almost cried watching it, and I've watched this movie so many times. And, bro, that brings me on to my second character, Groot. Bro, Groot is a legend. Like, how did they make a talking tree that only says I am Groot? Such a good character. Like, bro, he is amazing. Like, bro, when he died in this movie, because this Groot dies, right? And then he resurrects himself, but I think that's like a different Groot in my opinion, because, you know, he's a baby and then he's a teenager, and those don't feel like the adult Groot. Maybe adult Groot will be like the adult Groot in this movie, but still, this is so emotional, and I know he's gonna come back every time I watch this movie, but, like, bro, it's so emotional still. Like, oh my god, I almost cried watching it. Like, bro, honestly, I cried at the cinema. Like, bro, this movie's emotional, it's funny, and, bro, it's just legendary. Like, bro, the comedy in this movie is so legendary. And, bro, Gamora, bro, you think, like, a daughter of Thanos, proper serious character, you think that's, like, proper boring character, but no, it's not. They made Gamora one of the best characters in MCU history. Like, bro, she was the second female superhero in the MCU, and, bro, honestly, she deserves that title, because, bro, she is such a good character. Like, bro, so entertaining. Her chemistry with Chris Pratt Star-Lord is amazing. Like, bro, honestly, so legendary. And Rocket Raccoon, bro, I love Rocket Raccoon. He's amazing. Like, bro, like, if you tell me that you don't like Rocket Raccoon and you're a Marvel fan, I'm gonna think you're insane, because Rocket Raccoon is so entertaining in all the MCU movies that he's in. Like, bro, oh my god, he has, like, the best comedy in this movie. Like, bro, honestly, these characters are legendary. Like, honestly, and Drax, I mean, he's not as good as the other characters in this movie, but I still liked him. Especially when he called Gamora a green whore. Like, oh my god, that was so funny. Has me dying every time. But yeah, that's gonna be it for my positives. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed.
Alright, so now we're going to be getting into negatives, and when I say negatives, and I basically just mean some nitpicks, really. I don't have many big issues with the film, but there are things that I can point out that would be considered negatives. For example, the Power Stone was very weirdly easy to get. Like, it's literally a little shiny purple stone that can destroy an entire planet just by touching the surface. And you're telling me it was that easy to get? And it also doesn't make sense that all these characters decided to get the Power Stone at the exact same time. Like, Ronan's goons, ended up being there at the same time as Quill. You'd think, you know, something that's that easy to get, they would have gotten it ages ago, but nope, let's wait for some fucking reason. I don't know. It doesn't really make sense, but I guess it's just one of them things you shouldn't really think about too much.
Who? Star-Lord, man. Legendary outlaw. Guys, move! Now forget this.
Alright, you saw that just then, didn't you? Peter Quill kicked some shiny ball into these two Sakarans, and it literally disintegrated them pretty much. Seems fine, right? Well, you see, the thing is, it doesn't really make sense, because in this shot right here, Quill is literally holding the ball in his hand, and it's not harming him in any way, but when it touches two armoured Sakarans, it disintegrates them. How does that make sense? So yeah, although I think the gadgets in this film are pretty cool and they can get very creative with them, sometimes they just don't really make sense. Now there's this one scene in the film where Yondu is shooting his arrow at a group of Zakaran soldiers and he kills them all. Sounds pretty cool, right? Well, yeah it is, but it's kind of distracting when, you know, a few of the Sakaran soldiers are visibly just standing still and letting the arrow come at them, like they're just waiting for it. And in a way, it does kind of ruin the badass moment, because man, it is a badass moment. So those are more or less my negatives for the film. Like I said, they were mostly just nitpicks. Overall, I think this is a wonderful film. It's just such an interesting group of characters, because they're supposed to be a group of superheroes, but like every single one of them is either a thief or a murderer, or both, which, I mean, damn, that is one interesting superhero group right there. So yeah, I just love this film. It comes together really well. It has a really solid story. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give this film an A-. It deserves it. That's a good score right there. This film is a masterpiece. Enough said.
Alrighty, so this is probably gonna be the hardest thing I'm gonna do, right? Negatives for Guardians of the Galaxy, bro. Like, honestly, I could think of more negatives for Spider-Man 2. Like, bro, this is really hard. But start off with the villain. Now, I think the villain isn't the strongest villain in the MCU. It's not the weakest villain, for sure. That award goes to Malekith, but like, he's just somewhere in the middle. He's just a plain villain. Like, bro, he's like probably the weakest character in the movie. And bro, I'm including the guy from Wreck-It Ralph too. I'm including the characters that don't really have as much screen time, like the Collector, bro. Like, probably the weakest character in the movie, the villain, honestly, bro. And I guess another negative is this one scene where Yondu is with his arrow thing, right? And he's, you know, tearing down a bunch of, like, guard people, right, that work for Ronin, right? And, like, the guard people just stand still as Yondu just shoots his arrow around. Like, bro, what? Like, it should be, like, shooting at the guy or running away from the arrow, not just standing there. Like, bro, do they want to get killed? Like, honestly, bro. But yeah, that's gonna be all my negatives for this movie, bro. I bet Olga is gonna have so many negatives for this movie that I didn't even think of, because, like, bro, honestly, while watching this movie, I don't look for negatives, because, bro, it's just such a perfect movie. Like, bro, honestly, best movie in the MCU, in my opinion, anyway. Right, I'm gonna conclude this my part of this, at least, and give Guardians of the Galaxy an A, because, like, bro, this movie is so good, so enjoyable to watch, honestly, bro. And it's sick how Marvel, you know, introduced a whole team of people, right, and did it so well that, you know, if I'm being honest, they haven't really done that as well as they've done it with Guardians of the Galaxy recently. Like, bro, like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like this is like a one-time thing. I mean, I'm pretty sure the Fantastic Four is coming up soon, so hopefully that'll be on the same level. But I'm excited for Fantastic Four, bro. Like, honestly, Fantastic Four, probably one of my favorite Marvel teams. Like, honestly, bro, probably better than the Avengers, Fantastic Four. Like, honestly, Guardians of the Galaxy, Fantastic Four, two of my favorite teams in Marvel. I'm talking about, the comics, which my comic knowledge comes from the game Lego Marvel Superheroes. But anyways, I'm going off topic. Guardians of the Galaxy, such an amazing movie. I could talk about Guardians of the Galaxy for hours, but I'm gonna leave it here at an A+. Or what did I give it? I don't know. I think I should just change the score. Honestly, I think A+. Yeah, I like A+. I'm gonna give it A+.
Anyway, everyone, I hope you all did enjoy this video, because if you did, then I just really appreciate that, because I was trying so hard to get this video out in November, and I only just made it, and I'm trying to get 4 Iron Ogre videos out in December. Yeah, in 1 month, 4. I don't know how I'm going to achieve that, since I struggled just to upload 2 this month, but we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I can achieve that. Yeah, we're approaching the end of the year. That is absolutely mental. Anyway, hope you've all had a good 2021, by the way, because we haven't got much of 2021 left. So yeah, bye.